Hello and welcome to Tea Talks. I'm your host Yasmin Tamres, and I want you to grab a cup of tea or your favorite beverage and join me in conversations with today's most influential personalities and thought leaders from across the world while we explore their opinions, journey, and passions. From the art of negotiation to the gamification of relationships and how to maximize your purest potential, you'll be sure to feel informed, engaged, and inspired. So let's take a sip and dive right into it. Cheers! I'm joined here by talent manager, producer, international speaker, Brad Lambert. And I gotta say, first up, set aside all those labels. You are the ultimate producer of happiness and seriously one of the best people on earth.
I appreciate you.
Really, okay?
Thank you.
So aside from the fact that you have dealt with such huge names like Robert Downey Jr., and you've also got Boss Logic, who, did he create that Avengers poster in the back?
His poster is not up on the wall. It's actually at the Framer as we speak. I was able to get that signed by the entire cast, so it'll be a nice little rundown of all the posters.
There. Yeah. And you've also recently found an incredible artist. I must say, I was stalking her yesterday and I was just perving all over her and her incredible voice.
Thank you.
Marley Bleu. So I definitely want us to dive into how you really connect with these people, because you're ultimately really known to really forge great relationships, and you really also know how to maintain those, because it's not easy. Let's say it's easy to meet people, but it's not easy to maintain those relationships. That takes work and effort. And
effort, keyword.
Yes, you're definitely number one at that.
Thank you.
Of course, before we dive into that, since this is Tea Talks, we were just saying, grab your cup of tea or whatever it is that you like to drink.
Shout out to Millie Bobby Brown and the Stranger Things.
Okay.
You know, showing love. There you have it.
Show them love. And what were you drinking there?
An energy drink, because I am already tired and it's noon.
What time did you wake up?
You're so proper. I love it. What kind of tea are you drinking there?
Okay, this is just...
It's actually vodka is what you're saying. Got it.
No. You know what? You're actually going to laugh at this. Okay, so it looks proper on the outside, just as I am, but it's a hell of a mix. Yes, but it's a hell of a mix. If you can see, it's quite green on the inside. It's a smoothie, actually. It's like a zucchini, spinach, kale, milk.
One of the most proper professional people I know. Look at that.
So like you, I need energy, so I put matcha in there. So that's like...
See, there you have it.
Yes. So is that something that you like to drink, having an energy drink throughout your day?
Yeah,
this time of the day?
Depending on like how my day is, sometimes it's 2 a day. It just kind of depends. But yeah, I've been starting them off early in the day to just kind of get me front loaded, if you will.
Pumped up. Got to pump it up. Well, I really do want us to dive into how we met, because I really want people to know what kind of a person you are. And we met at Soho House during Chris Voss, who's one of the leading hostage negotiator. He was a former FBI agent, and he was leading this talk on negotiating as if your life depended on it. And as you and I know, he's got this really deep, profound...
late night FM DJ.
Late night. Yes.
And that's what he calls it, for those who are listening.
Well, you gotta look him up. But it was really fascinating, because he then mentioned you as his friend, and I obviously learned so much from him in terms of negotiating.
He's amazing.
He is one of the best, and I really enjoy his newsletters. And so when I first saw you, I was like really curious, because I thought, wow, he's become really close friends with this kind of scary guy. And I'm just like, how did that happen?
I first found Chris on Lewis Howes' show, School of Greatness. So I was watching School of Greatness, and Lewis interviewed Chris for his release of his book, Never Split the Difference: Negotiating as If Your Life Depended on It. And I was fascinated with this guy. I thoroughly enjoy negotiating and that interpersonal communication and things of that nature. So I was really fascinated by what he spoke about, and took me down the rabbit hole of his podcasts and books and things of that nature. And I ended up reaching out to him via Instagram, and we actually went back and forth on DMs for a while, and then we finally connected at Soho House for lunch, I think it was, and we just kind of hit it off, and we became friends. And I was able to help him out with different elements of his brand and his business, helped him get verified on Instagram, and kind of help. Um, kind of direct him in a way with his social media content, and how social media is such a powerful tool for anyone in the business. And it's funny because at the time when I first got connected to him on Instagram, he had like 1,200 followers or something, and now he's at almost 100,000. And that it's been a few years, but he's just exploded, as he should, because he's incredible. But it's been a really cool kind of journey with him to have him in my corner as a friend and a mentor, and it's been really nice getting to know him as well.
Well, you know, if anything were to happen, if you were to disappear, we know who to call.
Exactly.
That's like the ultimate reason why you connected with him, right?
Of course, got to be prepared for any scenario.
Gotta be right hooked up in the right way. No, but that's really fascinating. And I feel like that really shows a glimpse of your approach, of how you really pick up on people and that you're really fascinated by, and you just want to connect with them, and seriously, on a friendly basis.
Yep. Yeah, I think
And
for me, I want to surround myself with people who I admire and who inspire me. They don't necessarily have to be huge celebrities or famous people. They just have to be good people, and be unique in some way, shape, or form. And that there is no
mm,
method to the madness other than if someone inspires me or I admire them for whatever reason. I just want to surround myself with good people who are talented and smart and creative, and that alone adds value to your life by surrounding yourself with people like that. So you don't necessarily have to get anything from them, but just to have them in your life, where like I haven't asked you for anything, but you bring so much value to my life, just being a good person, being very smart, creative, kind, proper. And
cheers to that.
it's those little things that I think a lot of people take for granted and overlook, where I just like, I want to know as many people as possible, because that's how you grow, and you honestly find out a lot about yourself when you meet more and more people. So,
Yeah.
um, you know, it's
You
it's
definitely, I want to say, add so much value, even if you never really ask. And this is true, you don't ask for anything, you genuinely just want to connect and get to know people. And that was also one of the things that I noticed about you when we first connected, and we also had like tea at Soho House after we had met initially.
yep.
And I want to add to that point, just to show, the viewers and the listeners, in terms of what a big supporter and basically elevator that you are. Because I remember coming to you, and again, like, I actually really have no right to come for you or ask for anything, and yet you have this genuine way of just sharing your time, with obviously the people that you connect with. And I remember coming to you in terms of like, hey, I've got this new gig going on, and they're asking me to name a price, like how much they should pay me per month. And I just didn't know what to say to them. And I was throwing around numbers at you. And you were like, just go for that high number. Just do it. That's your worth. That's your value. Just go for it. And so this is not just speaking about my experience with you, but having learned a little bit about the fact that you obviously, you're a talent manager, you're a producer, you're having to negotiate the entire time. And so for anybody that's listening who would like to know a little bit better in terms of how to negotiate better for themselves, what advice would you share with them?
I want to go back real quick and touch on something you said. Thank you for the kind words. I believe it was you who you called me a people elevator, which was the first time I've ever heard that, and that was one of the kindest compliments I've ever received. But the one thing I want to say about that is we can all do that. Like we're not asking you to move mountains, but just support each other, be there for each other, devote some time, effort, and energy to each other. If each of us did a little bit more of that, the world would be a much better place. But we've gotten to a place in this world where so many people are self-centered and egotistical and just they don't care about anybody but themselves. And that's why we're in the state we're in, and that's why like I'm trying to do as much as I can on my end to just be there for people, and it's yeah, it's time consuming, but what's the alternative? Being selfish? Oh, okay, So that's something I want to challenge other people is like no one's asking you to move mountains or spend a bunch of money, but like devoting time to hear someone out and give your 2 cents and try to help them any way you can. Where's the hesitation there? So just challenge the listeners, to try to do more. Step out of your comfort zone, be less self-centered, and try to listen, and not listen to respond, but listen to understand. And that is a key element where, send someone a text today and just say, hey, thought of you, hope you're doing amazing, and that's it. And even if you don't get a response, that's fine. It's not why you did it, right? Maybe you hope you get a response, maybe you will a week later, but that's not the point of why you're doing it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Bring a little happiness, bring a little love and support, especially right now where the world is just full of uncertainty and just, my goodness, I have days where I don't want to get out of bed. It's just, the way the world is right now. It's very scary and just full of questions, and you don't really know what's going to happen and when or how, but you gotta be there for each other. So that's my 2 cents on that. In regards to negotiating, it's, I think you have to understand your self-worth, and you have to be willing to have those uncomfortable conversations, but they don't have to be uncomfortable. You can make them enjoyable. It's all how you approach it, right? So I try to bring energy and fun and smiles to every room I walk into, even when I'm on a video chat or I'm on the phone. I'm trying to bring upbeat, fun, happy energy into the conversation. Because if I enter a negotiation and it's very serious and I'm scary and I hate you and things of that nature, it's not going to be pretty. But if you have a fun, playful kind of vibe to it, right? And you're like, hey, would it be impossible to do this? That's utilizing a lot of Chris Voss's brilliant tactics, but you need to know your worth. And I always have a number where bare minimum, this is where I'm at. And of course, I'm going to go beyond that to see what I can get, right? And even when they come back, which is probably a lower number than what I asked, I will still try to nudge it forward even a little bit more because there's always wiggle room. It's the other side's job to get you or the deal or whatever for the lowest amount possible. That's their job. That's why you never say yes to the first offer. And you don't ever say no, but you come back with a no-oriented question, or you come back with would it be impossible? You come back with things like that to try to get the conversation going, or as Chris always says, how am I supposed to do that? And you throw it back at
Mm-hmm.
them like, how am I supposed to accept that offer? And not in a
Right.
douchey, negative, bad way, but like a
Like a
how?
genuine
Yeah,
question,
like
like,
how am I
seriously,
supposed to do it?
how? Just break it
And
down for
then
me.
it gets thrown back to them, and then it's up to them to figure out your problem, right? So
Yes.
it's a great situation because most of the time, if they're not complete jerks, they'll come back and be like, okay, well, what are you thinking? And then the negotiation has begun, and you're able to kind of move from there. But at the end of the day, you have to be willing to have those uncomfortable conversations, and you have to be willing to hear no on the other side. So with
Mm-hmm.
that in mind, that's why you aim high, knowing you want to get down to a number. And sometimes, literally, last week I had a negotiation and I aimed super high and I worked my way down. I ended up getting a lot more than I thought I was going to get, just based on what I knew the value was. and what the perceived budget may be, but and what the project was, I was like, wow, but it worked out great. So it's one of those things where if you're able to have relationships with people, especially ones you're doing business with, where when they get on the phone with you, it's not a negative like, oh my God, I hate this person. They're so awful to be on the phone with. And it's more of a fun, like, oh, I love talking to Jasmine. It's like all these really fun things where you're like, you have to set the stage, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have to set the stage, and that's something that's so important when you're doing these conversations. That it's up to you.
Um, Really, such great advice that you have shared all around. Seriously, thank you so much for really breaking down those 2 points. First up, I want to acknowledge the fact that you really described the way in which people should be is to set the right intention, to be themselves, to not just want to take, but like give. And that comes from a very genuine place. And in terms of negotiation, what was going through my mind as you were describing this, and especially when you were just setting forth your example of like going really high and then having to go low, but still way more than what you had expected, which is like, wow, okay, so you must have been really aiming for the stars.
I
um,
always shoot
and
for the
and
fence.
and you, yes, and you still got beyond the universe. And so, are there any moments ever where you're like, okay, oof, I might actually lose this deal completely?
No,
Have there ever been moments like that? No way.
no, because there, if you're carrying the conversation the right way, and it's not like an ultimatum, piss off kind of scenario, there's always dialogue back and forth. If you
Mhm,
never make it a take it or leave it, go screw yourself scenario, then there's always a way to salvage the deal, the conversation, the relationship. But that's where I'm always at, where I want to make sure, you know, both sides are satisfied, right?
mhm,
But I also want to make sure that the relationship is strong to where they enjoy doing business with me. So coming back, Chris talks about this a lot, where it's like you don't want to screw over the other side because that'll be your first and only deal with them, right? So if you constantly have good chats with these clients and the deals that you're getting with them are enjoyable as much as they can be with those conversations, then you're in good shape, but
yeah, absolutely.
it's once again, it's on you how you respond to the other side, but also how you carry yourself,
Mhm.
you know?
So it's really maintaining that integrity and
Yeah,
really not pissing anybody off. And just like you said, setting the right tone
yeah,
and stage. You had mentioned, of course, that you had this beautiful 360 experience of being able to bring in Matteo to Downey's production company. And you have personally worked with him and over the years have created such a great bond and relationship. What what have you learned from Robert Downey Jr.? How was it working for him? As somebody who is so, you know, out there in the public eye and obviously very successful, and not just an actor, has his own production company going on as well. What did you learn from his work ethic that you were able to also translate into your future endeavors?
I think the main thing, not only with Robert, but just everyone who he surrounds himself with, um, they're just hardworking, good people, and that's something that resonates throughout the entire company, throughout his entire team, at every single level. Nobody's complacent, and that's the thing I love most about Robert is a guy who's achieved so much and has so much. He really doesn't take a day off, um, and that says a lot
Hmm.
because he's very successful and has been compensated appropriately. And a lot of people would be like kick back, chilling, and he's not. He has a production company. He's investing, he's acting, he's doing a lot of different charity things. Like he's go 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 24/7. So I certainly haven't achieved even remotely close to any level of success near that, so I certainly don't have a reason to be complacent, but that's what I probably learned most is even when
Hmm.
you perceive someone has made it and they're set, like just keep working, like keep going.
Right.
And that's something that resonates throughout the entire company is just the hard work and just creative flow.
Yes. Well, I mean, there's not an issue with, I think I was having this conversation with a music artist the other day who had mentioned, there's two options where you can feel like, hey, I do want to reach for the stars and truly go for it. And you need to know how much work that is, that it actually is nonstop. And so, but if you also just want to kick it back, that's totally fine. You just have to be okay with whatever choice that you make.
Yeah.
And measuring success, there's no way to measure success because everybody has a very different way of defining what success
100%.
is. And everybody has a way of representing that as well. So I would say that, even though you say, you're not near like Robert Downey Jr.'s success, like, of course, his is very different to yours. Like yours is
Correct.
so strong in so many ways. And I want to go into the fact, like, even in this time, even though like we've all had to kind of take a little break, downtime, and think, okay, what's going on in our lives right now? But, you then took up the initiative because we had a conversation yesterday and you're still active. You found this incredible artist, Marley Bleu.
Yep.
And you see, that comes to show again, you were like, okay, I need to be on. Like, what am I going to do in this time? Who's out there? And so I want to go into how, you're continuing in terms of like searching for what's the next big thing, but also working on your own like passion projects. As
Yeah.
I understand, you're also producing.
Yep.
And you still do philanthropic work.
Yeah.
So how was Marley Bleu? How did she catch your eye?
I literally was just on that rabbit hole of TikTok of just, I don't even know how long I was on the platform that day, but I was just scrolling and she sang, it was a video of her doing the whistle notes from Ariana Grande's The Way. And first off, very few people on this earth can do whistle notes. So right away, let me rephrase that. Very few people can do it well. Okay.
I was just about to ask you if you could show me what a whistle note is.
No, definitely not. Way out of my register. But yeah, she not only did it, but she did it in her own style, and it was so smooth that it just didn't make sense to me. Like how can that be possible for a human to make that sound and do it the way she did it? So that caught my eye. Plus the video was going viral on the platform. Like it had already eclipsed like 500,000 views. Like it was, because that, once again, that's not a normal skill, and Marley's range and control and vocal agility, if you will, is just, she's 19, and that alone is just mind blowing at how talented and how much control she has over her voice.
Oh,
That
she's like
I
the next Mariah Carey from
yeah,
doing that whistle note.
yeah, and honestly, she gets that comparison a lot. Not just for the whistle notes, but she has this very smooth, soulful voice that is literally like a trance that you fall into, that you could just like relax and just, it's a really unique, beautiful voice. And um, you know, I went down the rabbit hole of all her stuff. I found her on Instagram. I followed her. I sent her a DM. Immediate was like, "Are you signed? Like, what is your deal?" And we went back and forth that night, and then ended up having a call the very next day. And then I think it was like 2 days later, I had lunch with her and her mom, and we just kind of touched base and was like, "Look, I want to work with you. This is a long journey. This is a long commitment. This isn't going to happen overnight, but I see a lot of potential with you, and I would love to manage and work with you." And I was like, let me know what you think, and you don't have to
That
answer
was like
now.
your casual like
Yeah.
negotiation there.
Yeah, I was like, "You don't have to tell me
Casual
now."
ask.
Yeah, you don't have to tell me now, but, let me know soon, and we'll, move on one way or another. I literally walked back to my car, got in my car, and I had a text from her, and she was like, "After thinking about this extensively, I've made a decision that, let's work together." So, we've been working together for about a month now, and she shot up like 80,000 followers in that amount of time, which is absurd. In that time, you've had names like Drake, Timbaland,
How
Wonderland.
did she even get on their radar? That's very impressive because
She's
mm,
had so many videos go viral. like
Mm-hmm.
viral to where on TikTok, the For You page is what is in your feed if you're not looking at who you're following. So in that feed, the most viral stuff pops up, right?
Mm-hmm.
So for her, that like she's on there all the time. And what was crazy is like literally I'd wake up in the morning and have a text from her of a screenshot of Drake following her and then DMing her, or Timbaland following her and DMing her. And then I had three separate like connections and creative producers from American Idol reach out to me saying they want her on the show. So it was just like a onset
Wow.
of just like perfect timing, perfect place, etc. And she is so just gifted and passionate about music that like at 19 she's well beyond that age as far as
Mm.
experience and talent goes, and she's mature but beyond her years. And that I mean, I'm so excited. It came out of nowhere. I certainly wasn't like on TikTok looking for the next big thing.
You were just
But
casually on there,
yeah, I was just
and
casually
that
on
just
there. And
happened. With that being said, I want to touch upon or break down and understand is that, I feel like people look for that management or they look to be discovered, and it is so hard because it's a huge sea full of fish, and
100%.
you got to pick and find the right one. And so I looked at her profile as an example, and I can tell she's just such a down to earth person. She's just totally herself, doesn't try to amplify herself in any way. She just really carries herself well, and like shares her gift.
Yeah.
And I think that's, one thing that I think a lot of us tend to forget is the gift that we have in order to share. Like your gift is to really elevate other people's gifts. And
Thank you.
it just, yeah, no, seriously. And um it's like you're a godsend, that just like you're there at the right time and like
Well, what's
doing all
funny
these
about that
incredible things.
is Marley told me that she had been praying recently for a manager, and I
Mm.
literally hit her up right after. Like she was just like, it was so weird because I had just been talking to my mom about how I wanted a manager and I really wanted to, take the next step, and you just appeared, and it's funny, but
Literally
that's
godsend.
well,
Like I
it's
said.
it's manifesting what you
Hmm.
want. And I'm a big believer in that, and it may not happen immediately. Sometimes it does. Other times it takes time, and you just have to be patient and stick to your craft and whatever you're looking to do, and it eventually will happen. So that's something that like I love being a manager because I love people, one, and I love seeing other people happy and I love seeing other people succeed. And it's my job to come in there as an elevator, as someone to help guide them and build them both personally and professionally, and do what I can to help them win,
Hmm.
and it's a service job. It is a serving
It's
others. It's what it is.
Yes. Well, before I let you go, I do want to get into the special segment of your top 3 habits that you like to implement in your life or on a daily basis, whatever
Sure.
that may be, aside from your energy drink.
That doesn't count. That's terrible. Um, First and foremost, I'm a relationship guy. I think your relationships, notice I said relationships and not connections. I'm not a big fan of networking. Um, I really dislike that term. I used to say it all the time in my younger days because that's what was taught to us: network, network, network. But for me, that really has a negative connotation today, where it's ulterior motives and ba 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 whatever. So for me, I I love building relationships. So one of my daily things, and I try to do whether I'm in the car or I'm on for a walk or at my desk, I'm going through texts and calls and messages and finding people who maybe I haven't spoken to in the last week or so and dropping them a line. Or if I think of someone, unless I'm in the middle of something I can't get out of, I literally stop what I'm doing and call them or DM them or text them, because the I'll do it later 9 times out of
You
10, you
forget.
don't. Yeah. So
Mm.
in that moment, it's like, I don't care if I thought of you yesterday. Obviously, you don't want to do it 50 times a day or 50 days in a row, but it's like, hey, you were on my mind again. I just want to say hello. Hope you're doing well. Da da da. Whatever. Like that is me. That's how you maintain relationships, by reaching out, actually giving a shit about other people and their lives. How are the kids? How's your wife? How's work? How's this? How's that? How are you feeling? How's your recovery? Da da da. Whatever. But that, like, we have so many blanket, like, how are you? And then you just, that's it. But if you're able to hit back and be like, how's Michelle? How's recovery? How's Jace? Like, really get into the nitty gritty of their lives.
Attention to detail.
That's
Hmm.
that's something that I've always been. I pride myself on. Whether it's like, I love your haircut. I love your new blouse. Like little things that a lot of people just don't fucking care about.
Or
Like,
notice.
yeah, you got to notice, and that once again goes a long way. Um,
Hmm.
so that's something that, the attention to detail, the care and effort put into maintaining relationships and building relationships, and just, caring about people is so important. So I don't know how many of those that counts for, but that's definitely a huge part of what I do. Um, Obviously as a manager, caring about clients and things of that nature, of maintaining my relationship with them and caring about them, and personally and professionally, like it's really important. And then I'm juggling a lot of different things. I work on so many different projects, so many different uh, items on a daily basis, that it's um,
In terms of habits, do you break it up in some way? Is
not
there like a
really.
set day where you're like, okay, I'm going to focus on this, or a set hour or so?
Maybe I should, but no. Um, it's
Well,
more
whatever
like,
you're doing, you're making it work.
uh, we'll see. But for me, it's more of, I may be working on 75 different things, but not every one of those 75 things are hot right now. So it's a development. A lot of the stuff that I do is development. So sometimes other things are super hot and needs a lot of the attention, and others are on the back burner and it's a timely thing. But at the end of the day, like, you kind of get you feel the energy and the vibe of whether something's working or not. And that's where you kind of devote your time and energy to that. But it's really making sure I am responding to every email, that I'm on top of the projects that I have and the people that are in my care and things of that nature, and just doing a good job with it, because the little things matter, as that's been the through line of this chat. But not really cutting corners and half-assing anything. It's just trying to make sure everything gets done. And then right now, with the times, happiness is fleeting. Happiness is difficult to kind of grasp a hold of. So, really taking time for myself to separate from the stress and things of that nature, and really kind of connecting to, friends and family, and creating
Mm.
happiness that way, watching movies, watching Netflix, gaming, like trying to set some time aside to make sure that I'm maintaining my happiness, because it's tough today. It's been tough, in this day and age, with everything going on. It's like a roller coaster. Some days great, other days horrible.
Absolutely.
So it's
Well, it
it's
sounds like you really implement and also know yourself. And even though you give so much to others, you also know when you have to give to yourself back, which I think is
have
very
to.
important.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what's a life motto or quote that you like to live by?
I actually have it tattooed on my forearm, and
Oh, what does it say? Show us.
I don't know, you're not going to be able to see it, but it's right here. But it says whatever it takes. And that has been kind of a through line motto of mine for my whole life. Like, whatever it takes, get it done. Whatever it takes, make it happen. But in
Wow.
Avengers Endgame, Cap said that iconic line, whatever it takes, to bring everybody back and save the universe, etc. So I'm a nerd. Of course, there's the tie-in to Avengers Endgame. Plus, I was able to work on that marketing campaign with Disney and Marvel Studios. So that's another, like, homage to that. So I would say whatever it takes. Like, if you
I
want
love
something
it.
bad enough, whatever it takes, get it done. And
And that's absolutely how you live and what you live by. I love that.
yeah,
Whatever it takes.
whatever it takes.
Well, Brad, it was such a great pleasure speaking with you. Thank you so much for
Yasmin.
your time over tea. So great seeing you as well. Now,
well.
where can everybody find you before we go on social media and connect with you and follow with your journey?
Yeah, my primary platform is on Instagram. You can follow me at Brad R. Lambert. And that's, you can follow all my journeys and shenanigans on there.
Well, I definitely wish you the very best of luck.
You as well.
I cannot wait to see you as well once it's, safe and so.
Yes, looking forward to that.
We'll hit up time, but yes, we must do that again. Well, cheers to you, and I hope you have a beautiful day. Thank you so much again.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for joining us here today. If you liked that episode, please like, comment, and share, and subscribe to this channel so that you know when the next conversation is up. I love to hear your thoughts and engage, so please don't be a stranger. Cheers.